Hello, it's MVTXreviews.com. Today we're going to present to you our full video review of the LG Crystal, also known as the LG GD900 series. This is one of the LG's proprietary smartphones that's using their UI that's known as LG S-Class 3D. It's a very unique interface that we've seen on the LG Arena as well as the new LG Chocolate with its 4-inch screen. It's proprietary, but it's also fairly usable, and it's something that they're trying to push out instead of going into Android. It's not as powerful as something like Android or iOS, but it still works fairly well with a lot of advanced features. The LG Crystal GD900 also has built-in Wi-Fi, it has Bluetooth, it has 3G, so it's got a full suite of connectivity functions. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't have full GPS support. It just uses your data towers for doing similar AGBS-like navigation. Now, the device itself is an unlocked product, so you cannot buy it with a subsidized price. So that means you're going to have to dish out a lot more if you're going to buy it in the States. It's going to cost you $400, so it's considerably more, and you can only purchase it online on LG or through another online vendor. So the Crystal itself, again, is named after its Crystal Touchpad. It is incredibly unique, and it's also a feat of technology and science that makes this phone probably one of the first in its class in caliber. It's one of a sci-fi fantasy that people have been dreaming about for a long time, and it's finally here in one sense. LG claims it's the world's first transparent phone, and it's incredibly cool. Also, the glass touchpad is not just a gimmick. It's also a fully functioning touchpad. It's not just a dial pad with a T9 style layout, as you can see once the phone is ignited. It is also functioning second touchscreen. It can also do multi-touch pinch to zoom. It can access a cursor for a mouse on the screen. It's just incredibly unique and incredibly very, very good looking also once the backlight is turned on when the phone is on. It's also a slider form factor, and considering that it's a slider, it is pretty slim, not as thick as it could have been, and there's also a transparent gradient effect on the back cover. So this device has utilized a lot more glass and plastic than a lot of steel. So if you're somebody who wants something that's going to last as long as something, say, the Casio Border, then you want something a lot more rugged, this is not going to be something for you. But this definitely looks like a fashion statement, and if you were going to take this on the streets, you would get noticed probably almost immediately, and it's just something you don't typically see. It's really unique and it's uncommon. Also, let's take a look at the hardware. There's some pretty unique features on this product, including its capacitive touchscreen on the front. It has a 3.1-inch capacitive touchscreen, which is kind of small in today's standards, but thankfully it does support multi-touch pinch to zoom support. In addition, it supports that full 16 million colors, so it's on par with today's standards. Combined with a smaller actual size, it means that the pixel density is going to be extremely high. That makes for a really vibrant screen, really bright colors, and no issues with viewing them outdoors or viewing them under extreme angles. It's got a great display on here. On the top of the phone, you have access to a front-facing camera for video chat, as well as for front-facing self-portraits. Got a speaker on there. You also have access to 3 hardware keys. What's interesting about the Arena, or about the Crystal, is that it's got a capacitive touchscreen. It's got a capacitive touch crystal pad. It also has 3 capacitive buttons. There's no physical hardware buttons on here that's going to use a mechanical switch, except for the on-off and the power and a slight camera. So it's going to be, mostly for navigation, it's going to be all touch. So if you like that, then this phone will be for you. So again, we have a talk and end and a 3D interface key that will bring up a cube that you can see for a second after we turn the phone on in the interface section. And these are all backlit, so you can see them under darker conditions as well. On the left-hand side of the phone, you have access to a microSD card slot, not a microSD, but a micro-USB slot that allows you to charge, to sync, and to gather information from your computer. This device has built-in 1.5 gigs of memory, so it's pretty cool that LG includes that memory right out of the box. Considering it also has an expansion SD card slot that you can expand up to 32 gigabytes, so you can view more multimedia content and the such. So it's pretty cool that you also have around 2 gigs to mess around with and do video content. So it's quite a large capacity that you could potentially have on this handset. Unfortunately, it doesn't support a full 3.5mm headphone jack, so audiophiles are going to be really disappointed. And you have to use a proprietary jack connecting from the micro USB to a 3.5mm, which LG includes right out of the box. It's got a chrome edging that looks really nice. Again, this looks like a fashion product. On the top, you have a power on-off key. On the back, again, that gradient look, which can actually reveal the back cover and the battery inside. The SIM card slot is below the battery. On the right hand side, you have access to a volume rocker on the top of the device, in addition to a 2-stage camera key, which is quite easy to use. Sliding the transparent keypad below, we will have access to that full 8.0 megapixel camera that is autofocus with an LED flash, as well as a self-portrait mirror. So on paper, the number of megapixels on this camera is extremely high and one of the better camera smartphones that you can purchase. Actual performance, though, you can get some very varied results, which is a little bit disappointing. So let's get out of that, and now let's look at the UI. The UI is that 3D interface that we talked about previously. It's fairly responsive. It has a lot of animations to it, so unfortunately it's going to bog down your CPU sometimes when you're doing very extensive web browsing, or very extensive multitasking, I should say. The S-Class user interface uses, again, that cube. Let's press the cube right now. It brings up a cube-like interface of all your pages. Like on Android or iOS, you have multiple pages for multiple applications. You have one for shortcuts, you have one for multimedia, you have one for contacts, you have one for widgets. This is also a kinetic sensor, so you can also swirl it around and around and around. But it allows for quick access to a page when you use the icon to select one. Now this is kind of a gimmicky use for a separate button on the phone, considering you can just use the top here, which allows you to tap through your different pages, and you can actually slide through the pages that way, or you can just go left and right, of course, traditionally. It's a little bit gimmicky. Thankfully, it's not just a 3D icon. It also acts as a multitasking key, so pressing that for a few seconds will bring up all your currently open applications. You can multitask up to 9 applications. It's fun, it's intuitive, and it's definitely on par with a lot of smartphones these days. So let's try that right now. Tapping that for a few seconds will bring up a... Oh, it's going to go to sleep. Okay, let's unlock it by pressing it. Once we're into an application, like let's just open to the gallery, to the gallery. We're going to the gallery, and if we're in the gallery when we're doing something, let's press the multitasking key. It's going to bring up a list of, let's view the image. It's going to bring up a list of our applications. Where is it? Right now it's not being... pressing it for a few seconds should be bringing up a list of 9 multitasking keys that you can go and switch by. I can try that again when I'm in the web browser, but it also doubles as that feature. But again, you also have a talk and end to go out of applications completely. Now, here's your customizable shortcuts to your favorite applications. You can drag and drop these and edit them. Pressing edit will allow you to go through all your different open applications and switch them around. You can also drag and drop these to switch the orientation and the order around as well if you want to do that. I just deleted one, so let's press OK. So switching again, the next page is going to be your widgets key, kind of like on Android. You can actually change the analog clock and positions of these different things. You can also drag and drop new things like a calculator. You can drop a weather. Let's draw something else on here. And what's interesting about this one is it actually is a vertical scrolling page. So instead of just being horizontal, you can also go up and down on this particular page. So you can drop more and more widgets. Now, unfortunately, you only have a fixed number of widgets. So although it is extremely useful, it's really cool as an aesthetic thing, it's also really useful because pressing something will take you to a link that will allow you to check your weather fairly easily. It will also allow you to updating your weather conditions. You can change your calculator. Right now, let's look at Seattle's weather. It's fast, it's intuitive. Edit widget, exit widget. Yes. And it's easy to use, but you can't add more widgets like in Android. You can always download more widgets in the App Store. You are not able to do that here. So that's where the S-Class interface kind of falls down. It doesn't have a developer community. It doesn't have an open App Store. So that's just something to take note of. The next screen you have access to is going to be your contacts. You can add your favorite people and their pictures onto the contact screen. Next is your entertainment. You can add your favorite songs and their cover art if you have a cover art displayed. Your favorite images, and tapping one will bring up a full screen as well as the ability to scroll through your images. And it's really nice. It's also interesting that tapping these icons will bring you, will play you the song directly or play you the image. However, it does not bring you directly into the music application. It doesn't bring you directly into the gallery. It opens up a small thumbnail and it shows you the song that's playing. So it's not just an application, it's not just a link to an application, which is pretty cool as well. Again, transitioning between things are really responsive to the screen, but they do take definitely a few seconds to load, and that's because it has a lot of animations, a lot of transition effects, but it still is fairly responsive and definitely usable. On the top, you have access to that drop-down menu system for accessing your different connectivities and your different statuses. You will notice that the screen doesn't have any viewing angle issues, again, that I talked about. It's a great display. And also have access to a battery icon. Speaking of battery, the battery life on this device is really, really good. It can actually get through 2 to 3 days of continuous use with always being connected to both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and 3G, and doing moderate texting, doing moderate calling people using that time. So it's got a great battery life in today's standards of more poor battery life, considering extra large screens drain a lot of battery. So if you don't need something like that, this is a great smartphone to go for battery life alone. Call quality on this device is really, really good. You have access to a call button on the bottom here. Let's just dial that. And you will have you can dial people really responsively and call people using the capacitive sensor. If you don't want to do that, you can also slide the phone upwards and again review that crystal touchpad, which is the unique feature of this device. You'll find that using the keypad is extremely sensitive. It also has haptic feedback, so it vibrates whenever you're calling someone for a really easy-to-use experience. Unfortunately, the phone has a fingerprint magnet, so you have to have a cloth to clean off the surface and the glass display after a while. It's also cool because if you're texting or something, you can actually see your shoes now if you're walking outside, so you won't trip over and fall. But overall, yeah, the touchpad itself is really sensitive, and it's a great addition to the phone. Again, it supports all the gestures that you would use typically by using your finger on the screen directly, and also has fingerprint handwriting recognition, which we'll see by launching the browser. So the bottom key here is going to be your menu, so that takes you through your main menu of the S-Class 3D interface. It goes through your communications, your multimedia utilities and settings. You can go through your different apps here. You can also use the accelerometer and see your full apps in this view, which is also easy to use. So if you launch something like Google applications or go to the browser directly, just go to the browser. We can enter an address, and by that, it will take us to multiple ways to enter our information. By closing up the display entirely, and we want to enter that address here, it will take us to you can either use handwriting recognition, which has a little pen icon selected, which means that we can press something. Well, let's not use handwriting recognition. Let's tap this first, and then let's try that. So if we do something like Google, we can press a G here, and then we press G, or Q if it's not going to recognize ourselves, but G. There we go. And if you want to use the touchpad for this, it works exceptionally well. We can do O, O, G, L, E. And if you want to type the rest with a keypad, just to show you that it also has a keyboard on here, you can press it again. You can use the traditional T9 style layout by deselecting this key on here, and press it away. Instead, press the keyboard here, which will take you to the traditional T9 style. Using an accelerometer will bring this phone to initiate the full QWERTY layout, which again is really easy to use with the multi-touch screen. It's really responsive, and you can definitely type fairly fast. So it's very easy to use. The keyboard is a little small, though, considering the phone screen is a little bit small. You can type stuff that way. So it's got a lot of ways to enter your information, which is one of our key features and something we really liked. Let's go back and see if we have any bookmarks to load. No bookmarks right now. Let's just load into Google by going home, going out of the browser. So if we have Google services, this is a Google app that takes us into our Google services. It comes preloaded. They include Google Maps, Google Search, Google Mail, YouTube, and Blogger. So these are not direct. They're not as well implemented as on iOS devices. Pressing Google Maps is really just a Java application of Google Maps that doesn't even support multi-touch, which is disappointing considering the phone has multi-touch, and you can see that in the gallery in the web browser. It's just that this version of Google Maps does not have that feature. So again, things are really fast, really responsive. There's no pinch to zoom gestures, but all your features otherwise are all there. You can go through get directions, show view, your traffic, and favorites, and whatever you want to do. They're all there, all very easy to navigate, fairly fast as well. Let's exit the application. The next application I'm going to show you right now is going to be Google Search. So it just takes you to Google directly into the web browser. You can see that It loads over Wi-Fi exceptionally fast. Let's take a look at the web browser. You can use the accelerometer to tilt to a different way to get a full screen view, which is recommended. And it's a full HTML web browser. It's really responsive. It's really nice as well. Now, multi-touch on the web browser is going to be a little bit more sluggish than you're used to if you're using an iPhone or something like that. It's going to take a few seconds, and also it jerks a little bit. However, it does work fairly well. It also displays how much you're zoomed into. And again, of course, navigating around itself and scrolling up and down using kinetic sensors, it's easy to use. Sliding the D-pad over open using the crystal, you can also multi-touch, and zoom out. Zoom in, zoom out. So if you wanted to type something, you could search something, and it's going to show up fairly fast. So web browsing overall is a nice experience. The multi-touch is not quite there, but you don't have to use multi-touch. You can just use manual controls, and it's responsive. It loads fast. It also loads a lot of desktop pages, so it's going to be like on your computer or laptop. So it's got the full system on here. It also plays YouTube videos directly from the browser, which is a great feature as well. Now, looking from the menu in the browser, you can actually go into a full-screen view directly from the vertical section, which is also easy to use. In addition, you can see your history and your tabs and your zoom this way or go home. These are all easy to use. Another feature that's pretty cool is on the bottom here, you can change different pages. So if we press that again, we're on the second page, and which means that we can do some web browsing on the second page and then go back on the first page. So you have full multitasking on this aspect of web browsing pages as well. Now, I talked about multitasking on this device. Hopefully, it's going to work now in the web browser. Oh, there we go. We have to press a few seconds longer. It brings up the multitasking screen that allows us to open, again, that 9 different applications. So if we're in the web browsing and then we suddenly had an urge to play music, we press the music icon, and it's going to take us into the music application. It's going to show us all of our songs in our device. And pressing that again for a few seconds, going back to the multitasking, it shows all of our currently open tasks as little jumping icons. So pressing that again takes us instantaneously back to where we were in the web browsing experience. So it's a fully working multitasking experience that works really well and we really enjoy. So let's go out of the web browser. Exit browsing. Yes. Exit browsing. All windows. There we go. Next one's going to be YouTube. YouTube, again, it basically just goes through the mobile browser. So that means that the browser itself supports YouTube, which is nice. Again, you can use the D-pad to act as a mouse to move around the screen. You can kind of see the cursor now. It actually works really well. So for clicking smaller links, it's also useful. In addition, since, again, the screen is really vibrant, you can read text even though it's not that zoomed out. It's hard to see on camera, but the screen is really easy to read. Multitasking is definitely a joy. And pinch to zoom, you can definitely see it's not showing up on camera that well, but it reformats the font to make it look really sharp. You can play videos quite well. Again, it uses that interface nicely. It's very responsive, really fast. Unfortunately, although the sound quality on the YouTube videos is fairly good, the speakers on here are exceptionally loud, the speakerphone. Unfortunately, the quality of the video is a little bit disappointing, and it loads really fast. You don't have any issues with stuttering at all or buffering, but the quality is horrendous, I have to say that. It's not a great device for looking at long-time videos. It's just, it's really suitable just for short-term watching. Now we're there. Again, the quality isn't really good. It's not showing up that well on camera, but it's not sharp at all. It's no HD rendering. So if you have to watch HD using the YouTube browser, this one's not going to cut it for you. But watching a few basic clips with your headphones, this will work, I guess. It's going to be fast and responsive. So let's exit that application. You also have Blogger and Gmail. Those are pretty standard, so I'm not going to go into those in too much detail, but you get the idea. That's your Google applications. Now, you can also have other different uses of the touchpad and implementation, including the camera. With that 8-megapixel sensor, we're going to go into that next. Pressing the menu key, we're going to go into the camera. You can also switch to the front-facing camera, so you can shoot in different modes. It's a really nice camera. It has a great flash. It's not a xenon flash, so for long distances it's not going to work out that well. But if you're in complete darkness and you want to shoot something that's pretty close up, like if I turned off all the lights in the room right now and it's just shot using the LEDs, this paper, it's going to show up exceptionally bright. So it also is pretty good for that. So it's a very nice camera. You know, it's not going to replace anything, but it's nice for what it is, and it does quite well for a phone, I guess. And if we wanted to shoot something like this, we would press it once, and then let it focus, and then press it to catch a photo. You can send it directly to different emails, to Bluetooth, and to blogger.com via Google. So these are all really nice implementations of the camera itself, because it is a very good camera. It's not going to be the best camera we've ever seen on a phone either, but it is what it is. It's nice to use. And unfortunately, though, when you're sending this, you can only really send it on email or on Bluetooth. Considering if you send it on the message, it's not going to work because the 8-megapixel sensor takes up a lot of resolution space. So it's going to overload your capacity, and it's not going to send the actual photo. So be careful if you're using the 8-megapixel sensor itself. Don't send it on some cases and instances. So we can view this directly in the gallery. If we press the gallery, it's on the sideways view, it's going to load this nice animation where we can slide back and forth between all our photos. And let's just go to this by tapping it. And the gallery, again, we can zoom in, zoom out. It's very responsive. It's a lot more usable in the gallery itself. It's a lot more fluid, as you can see. It's instantaneous. Same thing with the touchpad itself. You can also scroll back and forth between different images. Quite easy to use. Nice implementation. Also, a nice feature is that you can use the touchpad as a gesture area for when you're taking pictures. Circling clockwise actually acts as a zoom in bar. Circling the other way actually acts in as a zoom out bar. It's intuitive. It's really nice. It's just one of the better reasons. Another reason why the Crystal touchpad isn't just a gimmick. It's also something that functions really well. Let's exit out of this application. So that's pretty much it. It's a very nice device. It's definitely not for heavy texters, but it has a lot of ways of inputting text. It's also unlocked phone, so the keyboard and the handwriting recognition isn't just for English. It also works for all languages, including Spanish, albateles, and also works with Chinese. So it's a world phone. It has global keyboard selection. You can actually recognize keyboard languages from around the world. It also has, again, full QWERTY or T9 style and handwriting recognition. It's not just for people from one place, from America or anything like that. It's definitely not for heavy texters, like I said, but it is a great smartphone. If you're not too demanding with the product, I think it's going to work really well. It's going to entertain you. It looks aesthetically superbly cool, and the touchpad isn't just a piece of gimmick, like I said. I'm going to leave you with one more application, cool application I wanted to show you. There's not too much in utilities. It's your typical calculator from Scientific and your stopwatch and stuff like that. But for multimedia, I'm going to show you how the games work. You also have an FM radio on here if you want to do that. I'm going to show you how the games work. There's a few applications in multimedia, including games, one of them. You can also make movies directly from this device, which is pretty cool. You can plug in different photos and then plug it around to a music, and then you can make your own videos. It works really well, so it's got a great video editor on here as well. LG calls its games M-Toys. Now, it really stands for Motion Toys. So, you can actually play a lot of motion toys that LG has loaded for you, and pressing start will allow you to start it. This is a ping pong game where it actually tilts, your accelerometer tilts where the ball goes, and you want to hit it up, and then hit the ball up as high as you can, and then if you accidentally tilt it away, the ball is going to fall off your paddle and you will lose. So it tries to estimate your sense of balance and also how hard you're hitting the ball to see how high you can hit it, and then it will record your status. It's fairly easy to use, and it's also really nicely implemented. So LG has done a lot of work with its motion. Another cool feature is called Bubble Breeze. It has a lot of also darts and other things you can throw, but this is a cool feature because it uses a microphone, and then when you're blowing on it, it actually recognizes it, and then it actually blows out bubbles. You want to get these stars after you blow them out. Let's try it. So, again, it's really useful, it's really cool. So if you're not afraid of looking like a fool and blowing at your phone, LG is actually really clever here. They implemented all their sensors, from microphones to tilting, from accelerometers, and built really cool games from flying dice to darts, and you can even load your own Java games onto here that work really well. So it's also a pretty enjoyable gaming. It's not going to be like the App Store, but it's pretty enjoyable gaming experience as well. So again, that's pretty much all. in terms of documents and Gmail, you have some very nice support that you can set up. Again, that was video calling that you saw there. You can write email and text messages. It's really responsive. Yeah, not too much I can do. In terms of documents, you can definitely edit your basic documents if you load them. I haven't tried a lot of formats yet, but I know for sure text and stuff look really well, and you can read a few basic ebooks on this device as well. So in terms of the basic usability, I think the smartphone works really well. It's not just it's not just style over substance. It actually works. It actually works well. Performance is really good. It's not going to be your most powerful smartphone out there. So who is this LG Crystal for? It's for people who A, want something that looks really unique, B, want something that is going to have really good sound quality and call quality in addition to a great battery life, and C, want that Crystal touchpad with a great web browsing and pretty nice camera experience overall. So LG Crystal is really unique. It's offered by LG Electronics. You can buy it online. And yes, we will give it a 2 thumbs up, and check out our full video review, our article on this product, on our website at osandbtxreviews.com. And thanks for watching our extended overview on the LG GD900 Crystal.